Johnson.
Present.
We have a quorum.
I'm here.
Oh, I'm sorry. Carrie Jensen.
Don't be sorry, we're glad she's here.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Would everyone kindly join me and I ask Commissioner Taylor to lead us today?
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Oh, there she is. Hello.
Just in time.
We're talking about how it was the three of us from the east side who are all probably stuck in the same thing.
It's a mess.
I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes dated July 9th, 2024, moved by Commissioner Taylor, seconded by Commissioner Joliet. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Minutes have been approved. I would entertain a motion to approve today's agenda, moved by Commissioner Taylor, seconded by Commissioner Spiz. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Agenda's been approved. Anyone from the public wishing to address us on any items on the agenda? No? All right, cool. Moving right along then.
You too.
We have just one quick communication. Folks, you may have heard it in the full board meeting. We've got a few unfortunate resignations that popped through, and my civic clerk is not loading for heck today. But that's what that is.
I move to
Yeah,
receive
sure.
and file.
Your Ron Borngesser on Area Agency on Aging has resigned, and also Skylar Bootsy on Materials Management Planning Committee resigned.
Barely started.
Right.
Move to receive and
Honestly,
file.
very annoying.
She's
Moved by
gone
Commissioner Spiz. Oh, question.
Well, don't we also have a resignation from OCHN?
I heard about that. I've not seen the letter yet, but I have
Okay.
heard about that, so
Okay.
yeah, thanks for bringing
And
it
I
up.
just wanted to say, Ron Borngazer was like unbelievably great.
He was.
There's no way to designate that. I mean, I don't even know if he'd want it, but I don't remember what category he was in, and
I don't know if it has to do with the area agency's rules, but something about he's not in the government section.
right,
But
no, I
our-
saw that, but is
for
there
the-
any possibility to move him around or?
For the appointment, it does, for our appointment, it does just ask for someone who's 60 and older. But I
Oh.
don't know if they have some rule on their end, maybe I can
He's
get
our
more.
appointee?
Yeah,
Okay, well, I'd say it's worth a call, cause
Can we
he
talk
is
about it?
Could I,
amazing.
yeah, so this is regular item C. So let's get into that then. But movement to receive and file, do I have a second? Seconded by Commissioner Taylor. I'm just gonna, all in favor of receiving and filing, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. That's been filed. Alright, so we will get into those in a hot second, but I'm gonna move into our regular agenda and welcome my good friend Jim. I see it over there. Get on up to the front of the table there. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. You have the floor. Tell us what's going on or not going on in Lansing.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members. Great to see you. It's been a while. I apologize for having missed the last one. That was in Dallas for a funeral, so. Sorry about that. I've been asked to touch on some update legislation on septic code. Before I get into that, I thought maybe I'd just give you a little taste of what's going on right now. And the answer to that question is nothing. With respect to the legislature, the only thing that they're doing is campaigning. And so we're not meeting. And in fact, if you look at the potential session days remaining, there have been 20, I think at last count, left in this legislative session that have been posted as possible session days. I think that is likely not the case. I think it's less than that. I think it'll be determined by the results of the election, whether or not we have a lame duck session or not. That'll be a major factor, and if we do, what would the agenda be for a lame duck? Meaning that, let's say Republicans take control of the House, well, there's not gonna be much of a lame duck. I'm sorry, there's gonna be a lot of lame duck, because the Democratic control the House will wanna get some things done while they can. if the Democrats maintain control, and remember, it's a 1-seat majority, if they maintain control, I think it's gonna be very limited to attempts to pass a supplemental. The budget process eked through some very difficult times, and emotions got roughed up, so the timing of a break was good for people to go back and settle down. And I think there's gonna be some, and Commissioner, you're on the inside here, I don't think you would disagree with me, that they would like to put together some money in a supplemental and do a few things before the session is over in December at some point. So really, policy-wise, nothing's moving. With that limited number of session days, it's very difficult to introduce something right now and get it through both houses and committees and to the governor's desk. I mean, 20 days is just, especially if it's a significant issue, like an aircraft, we call them aircraft carriers. Things like the drain code is an aircraft carrier. Whereas, we call cats and dogs little bills that don't do a whole heck of a lot. So, if there are no questions about that, I can get into the drain code.
I'm just wondering, appropriations wins, the budget was signed, is there anything that Oakland County folks should be aware of, approach wise?
We didn't do as well as we did last year. No one did, for that matter. We, as you know, the federal funding really dried up following last year's budget. What's interesting now is those of us who have been around town for a long time and watched these freshman legislators come in with billions and billions of dollars in the budget, and they get to spend it on all these things, and now all of a sudden, we're in a year where this is a normal budget process, normal revenues coming in, and it's a realization like, oh my God, now we gotta really work hard, right? So, that's the deal with respect to that, so.
Questions on non-septic stuff?
When you say 20 more sessions, you mean till December,
Including December.
including December?
They're effectively done now until the August primary. Once the primary is over, there's a couple days posted in August, a couple days in September.
Wow.
And they have hunting break and Thanksgiving and
That hunting break is sick, you laugh, but those northerners care a lot.
Oh, that's true, I forget we have all stay in their flannels all year, yeah.
So, with respect to the septic code legislation, there's two bills. One in the Senate led by Senator Singh out of Lansing. The other one in the House has been introduced by Representative Skaggs from the Grand Rapids area. It seems, since those two bills have been dropped, Sam is more motivated than Representative Skaggs in the Senate to try to push this effort through. And Representative Skaggs has kind of given deference to Senator Singh, saying, okay, if you're that interested, I'm not gonna push my bill, I'll help you with, if I can, on the Senate version. So this discussion is, many of you know, because the number of lakes in your county has been around for well over 20 years when it was first introduced. And it's an aircraft carrier. It's a tough issue with a lot of moving parts. It's really been being pushed by an organization called FLOW, Friends of Lakes Water Systems or something. I can't remember what the acronym stands for. And they have been going around trying to get support and movement on the legislation, which is difficult. There's been a lot of work groups. Again, as I said, this issue started out about 20 years ago. There seems to be pretty good consensus about the fact that there's an issue, right? With E. coli in our lakes, and we know why it's there, but how do we solve it? You have some counties that don't want this legislation in its current version because it establishes statewide standards for things like what is the definition of failure, and what is a definition of an inspection. And we as a county want to maintain our authority to make those decisions ourselves and not have Lansing come in and tell us how we should inspect our septic systems in Oakland County. Then on the other hand, you have counties that are like, hey, yeah, great, if you guys wanna run the show, I'm fine with that. So there's that, and it's, like I said, there's been a number of work groups, but if you look at it from 30,000 feet, you can see a very difficult issue with no real consensus on how to deal with it. So many diverse communities, and there's the ideal of less state intrusion than otherwise. And then you have the political dynamics, then you have the few session days left. And it would be 1 in a trillion chance that this thing's gonna go anywhere of this session. So then sine die, all introduced legislation dies in December. So it would have to be reintroduced next year if someone, I would imagine Senator Singh probably would reintroduce it. And then we start the whole process all over again. So that's basically it. If you have any questions about it, I'm not a expert on raw sewage, and I don't wanna be, but if anybody has any questions, I'll do my best to answer them.
Commissioner Lubes, followed by Commissioner Christensen.
In 2019, in the Public Health and Safety Committee, we explored this in depth because you do have two different groups. The lake and conservation groups would like to have a statewide septic code. Our health department at that time reported they didn't have enough staff to inspect or test septic tanks. And on the other hand, the real estate and property owners weren't greatly interested in having their septic tanks inspected on an annual basis. So it's a complicated issue. It was a hot topic, which after months of study and discussion in committee, it went nowhere again. And Michigan is one of the few states without a statewide code addressing septic tanks.
Yeah, and absolutely. And there's been some new developments in how to technologically improve the way systems work that is much cleaner, and to impose those new restrictions, or on the other hand, then you have the Farm Bureau, stay off my land. I can do what I wanna do. Tell me if I'm wrong on that, but that's their position. And I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but that's another competing entity or interest group in the discussions, which carries a lot of weight in town.
Commissioner Christensen.
No, Penny gave the update I wanted, cause I remember we've been talking about it, but it doesn't seem right that there's absolutely no oversight on it.
Commissioner Hoffman.
There is oversight, and it's the health departments in every county. I'm absolutely opposed to this. The realtors were kind of in favor of it until the legislation was gonna say all septic systems must be inspected at time of sale or point of sale. And they didn't want that because they thought they'd kill the deal. But lots of people buy homes, and part of the purchase agreement says your septic will be pumped and inspected. So they already have that, and I've mentioned this many times before. Septic systems will tell you when they're not working. There's no getting around it. And if there's a problem, you get it fixed. And part of the problem was the staff at the county, but there's 100,000 septic tanks in Oakland County. They do such a good job. Again, it'll tell you when there's a problem and you have to fix it, because there's no other way around it.
Commissioner Hoffman, you're right. I represent the realtors, and they are opposed to this legislation. And in fact, I just sold my house a week ago, and for the first time in my life, I've lived in Oakland County. I'm now in Livingston. I'm on a well. I don't know anything about wells. But I knew it needed to be changed when you walked in the backyard and like, what is this? So, yeah, it tells you when it needs to be done. And when I sold it last week, the inspector went in and dug it up, lifted the cap, sent a camera down there, and just, determined the quality, if you're buying the house. And if you're a homeowner, you wanna know what's going on, right? So, yeah.
So did you have to do something?
No, I don't wanna get into the details, it's kinda gross, but I had it flushed like 2 years ago. And it's really in top shape, so.
Commissioner Taylor.
Yep, I was just gonna add that in the city of Southfield, that's a hot topic. I think we have
Yeah, it
more
is.
septics than
Really?
yeah,
Down
We
yeah.
have a lot of
I always
septic,
thought it
people
was
wouldn't
north.
know that, but there is a
There's a
area
lot.
there.
I would have never thought that.
There
Yeah.
is. And one of the things, and that's why I tried to work with our realtors, at point of sale, some people buy homes and didn't even know it until after they moved in because the realtors would not tell them. So we are really trying to work with them to tell them. And I would love to see them get inspected before you sign the dotted line. But you don't have to. There's nothing that says you have to. So once you sign, it becomes your problem. And that's one of the things, and that's why I'm listening, both ears went up when you said septic tanks, because I'm like, whatever we can do to help, because then it becomes a problem. And we don't wanna wait until you can smell it, because then it's in the air, it's your neighbor and everybody else, and all the bugs, mosquitoes, it just becomes a huge problem if you can get it inspected, and it'll be less to fix the problem than let it break or whatever and then fix it. The cost would be less. So anything we can do to help inform people at the time of sale is just huge for me. But again, they put it back on the buyers, the realtors say they didn't ask. They can't ask you what they don't know,
It seems deceptive.
isn't it?
Commissioner Spitz, followed by Commissioner Hoffman.
Sorry.
Yeah, having lived on a septic as well for 25 years, it will tell you. But a lot of people also don't maintain them properly, they don't get pumped, they don't do that, I mean, which is a bigger issue, because that's what causes the fail. But on top of that, a lot of the local municipalities in those areas have ordinances that cover some of this. Especially if they put a sewer line, near a lake, especially near a lake, right? If you're on a well and septic, there's a sewer line close, they will not give you approval to put in a new one, you have to tie into the
Yeah,
sewer, if there's a sewer close.
If
So there
is.
are some avenues that some municipalities are putting in place too to help protect their lakes.
yeah.
It just takes time. Nothing's gonna fix it tomorrow because most of those have been in the ground for a long, long time.
So this is just proof of the struggles that you have with this issue and
Yes.
and how they're having not been able to solve it for 20+ years.
Personally, I think they're trying to take too big of a jump, do baby steps, but.
Commissioner Hoffman, followed by Commissioner Joliet.
Lenny, you're correct, and I think that realtors should be encouraged to insist that you inspect it. Because keep in mind, if they pass legislation, not only are you gonna have to have it pumped, which you should do it periodically anyway, based on the amount of usage. But then they'll charge you fees on top of fees, but it should just happen when you sell it. And that septic hauler will tell you if your system's working properly. Yeah, and they should encourage that, and they don't need the legislation, in my humble opinion.
Commissioner Joliet, I just said.
Question somewhat indirectly related, SAD deferment, which does somewhat apply to this. Do you know where that bill stands? My understanding, Bill Schuette had introduced it.
SAT,
SAD, Special Assessment District Deferment. It used to be in place, and then they took for whatever reason, they discontinued the program, I believe in 2020 or 2021.
so Shooty probably has a bill to
To
create a new sunset.
Well, and to reintroduce it, so like if there was a special assessment district to tie up to city sewer or in my infrastructure
Yeah,
for people that are at a certain income level, it's a deferment that, there's a lien put on your house and then when you sell, the money gets
I see.
taken, yeah,
okay. I'll check it. I don't know.
okay,
I don't think a Bill Shooty bill will move because he's in the minority, so.
okay. It's kind of a nonpartisan, in my opinion, a nonpartisan
It should
issue.
be, it should be.
So I was just,
But it could be a package, it could be a bipartisan package. I don't know. I'll take a look
okay,
and find out.
thank you.
Commissioner.
It's interesting, Commissioner Joliet, because I just got a pitch from Bloomfield Township. There's a neighborhood that has 2 wells and they're dry.
Oh.
And so they're gonna have to do an SAD. Well, there's a couple disabled vets and there's a couple of families below a poverty level, and it's gonna be 50 grand per household. So I'm kinda looking at it, and I called Kadisha over at our neighborhood, whatever that committee's called.
Mhm.
And they have funds to help families.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so she's looking into that.
Wow.
So that could be a possibility. And then apparently Water Resources has a fund too, but it's a little bit more specific, and I'm not sure it will apply to this situation. So there really are two options we could be looking at,
Okay.
maybe.
Well, the SAD deferment, in my opinion, is a win-win because nobody's incurring the cost. It's when the house sells,
Mm-hmm.
that's what would prompt the repayment.
I think that's like, we could do a revolving loan fund, or I think there's some money that is secret. You probably know from your back day. Cause it's those funds that are looked at in finance that I never totally understand, but there is some funding that could potentially be used for something like
Like
that.
this, okay. Well, yeah, if you hear anything,
Sure.
okay.
All right, anything else for Jim? Thank you very much.
Great seeing all of you.
Thank
You
you.
too.
I'll see you soon.
Bye,
Get back to
Jill.
Livingston safely. Moving on then to item B, Parks and Recreation 2023 Leonard Community Park and Trail Capital Grant Agreement Amendment. I would entertain a motion to recommend to the board, moved by Commissioner Spiz, seconded by Commissioner Taylor. Chris, you want to chat about that?
Sure. First, I have to say, couldn't help but reflect that the last meeting I was at, Supervisor Wall was talking about a poop storm. So this committee is gonna get a reputation if you don't
We're full of
Clean it up.
move up on these issues
Yeah.
anyways.
Yeah, that's all.
Okay, so this item here is simply an amendment to a grant that we had approved last fiscal year, for the village of Leonard. In this case, Leonard is acting as the fiduciary for the Pollyant Trail Council, which is a consortium of a bunch of local governments along the trailway there. The original grant was for, the scope of services was for a 16.9 mile stretch of the trail. They were going to receive $25,000 and match that with $75,000. They put it out to bid and then came back with a $300,000 total. So what they're looking for is an amendment to the grant scope to reduce that 16.9 mile area to 4.1 miles from Hosner Road to Elmwood Street, which I think is Addison to Leonard, beautiful northern Oakland County.
Whose district is that? That's yours?
And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Questions?
The project's still the same cost then?
Yes.
Right.
The budget is, yes.
The
It's
budget's still
scope
the
is
same, I know
changed.
the estimates just came in.
Yeah, they
three
just
times as
reduced
much
the
or whatever.
scope essentially,
Okay.
yeah.
It's a drastic reduction in scope, but.
That's quite a reduction.
Yeah.
Do you know about it, or do you know about it?
Yeah, but they came in at 3 times as much as the cost, so they had to reduce the scope to stay within their budget.
But it's still
They
a
were planning on
worthwhile.
$1,000, and they were hoping to do this much, but they found out they can only do this much with
This
that much.
much, right?
Right, because of the cost.
It's still considered a worthwhile
Oh, yeah.
project.
All right, well, motion on the table is to recommend to the board. Madam Clerk, would you please properly vote? No further discussion.
Yes.
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 Thank you.
everyone. That makes 8 yeas and 0 nays.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you. Enjoy your meeting.
And the item passes.
Take care, Chris.
Moving on then to discussion on, this is the appointment for the Area Agency on Aging 1B, AKA Ageways. I'm just gonna open up the floor to whomever wants to talk about it. I'm gonna probably start with Commissioner Gershenson, right?
Well, I just was wondering, I mean, maybe Ron's looking to get out. He served for a long time, but he's such a valuable part of that committee. Is it worth seeing if there's another designation that he could stay on. Do you know anything about it, Penny?
I worked with Ron for 4 years on the board. He is absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
I don't know that there's another opening on the board for him to fall into.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have a list of, sorry,
Go ahead.
so do we have a list of all the current members, what role they're
Yeah.
filling? Cause I don't necessarily have that at the top of my head.
There's one commissioner member and one person who's 60 and older is the designation for our appointments.
Everybody else is their appointment.
Yes.
Why is, cause he says non-government. So what has changed at Ageways that has changed his classification, is my question, I guess. Does anybody know that?
I don't know that, but I can
Well, so he was
find
a
out.
government appointee by us.
Yes. Yes.
The resignation letter indicated that he was no longer a government representative at Ageways. So that made me think that they had some kind of rule on their end. But as far as I know, for the legislation, we just need someone 60 and older. So I can ask for clarification on that.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we need more investigation, more understanding what's driving his
Why
resignation,
he's
because it
yeah.
didn't sound like from the letter that he wanted to
That he really
resign.
wanted to, yeah, they just changed his status.
So what's driving the status change?
This is weird. We can't.
I just sent him, you
Deny.
could, well, I guess.
Well, we'll definitely do that, but can we deny the resignation?
He already
Oh.
accepted it at the board.
Yeah, we
I was
accepted
just
the
saying,
resignation
maybe we
letter.
shouldn't have done that.
Yeah, we accept the resignation letter at the full
We
board.
did do that. Well, all right, postpone for till next time. When is next time? Next month?
August 20th.
Okay, cool. I guess that's a month away. I don't think there's an urgency, but yeah. Cool. Do we voice vote to postpone?
Sure.
Motion to postpone by Commissioner Spitz, did you make that or no?
I can make it.
Okay, seconded by Commissioner Erickson Galt, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Postpone until August 20th. And we'll talk about that later. Moving on then to an easier one, and I say easier because it should be fresh asterisk in our heads. This, yet another vacancy on our mythical Materials Management Planning Committee. Who wants to talk about this one? We have two other people who were in good consideration for that spot. Their applications and resumes are attached to the item. I guess I would entertain a nomination if someone wants to be bold and make that. Commissioner Spiz,
Make a motion to appoint John Kendall.
moved by John Kendall. Is there a second? Commissioner Juliet, is that a second? There's a candidate on the floor, and I'm doing this by memory now, but I can just proceed to vote on the nomination of John Kendall.
Unless there's any other
Unless there are,
nominations.
right.
I'm sorry, I just don't remember them.
I have a question.
Answer.
And I don't remember either, and I think they're both qualified because they both work in the industry. One's Republic Waste Services and the other's Waste Management.
Right.
What do you remember about this?
But John was one of the first ones we interviewed, and he's on the current,
Oh,
was on the
yes.
current board with you.
Yes, okay, I remember now. Yep, I have no
Sounds
problem with him. And they both be qualified and they
Yeah.
both do a good job.
Any other nominees? Motion on the table is the nomination of John Kendall to fill that vacancy. Madam Clerk, would you please prompt that vote? Good luck with that phone call.
Taylor,
Yes.
you have 8 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you all very much. I very much appreciate that. All right, moving on into our second public comment. Anyone from the public wishing to address us on anything under the sun? Anything? No?
No,
Oh,
no,
okay.
I don't have anything.
She's shy.
No. She's my intern.
Oh, awesome, okay,
okay.
very nice.
Welcome to the neighborhood.
Thank you.
Well, seeing no public comment then, any other business? I'm just gonna say I'm a huge Olympics nerd and the Olympics start on Friday, so go Team USA. We've got a lot of work to
So
do.
wait a minute, you're going, right?
I wasn't gonna mention that part. Going.
Oh, how fun.
And
Just the third
when
week.
do you
Yeah,
go?
I'm very, very excited, Paris.
Will you see the breakdancing?
No.
What
No.
It's a
are you going
new
to see?
category this year.
We're doing the soccer gold cup match for men, the like women's gold, water polo, the last day of track and field, which is like 7 things, beach volleyball, semifinals, and the closing ceremony. I'm really excited, but I'll be watching from home for everything else because surfing's in Tahiti, which
Great,
is technically France.
great.
Colonialism.
9,000 miles.
That is true.
Well, when do you go?
Pardon me?
When do you go?
The 7th. I
Exciting.
know. But in the meantime, cheer on Team USA.
Oh, yeah.
They're
Yes.
awesome. Commissioner
Cheer for
Hopkins, I
Simone.
see your hand for something else.
I have a question regarding the issue on the board last week with the company Savvy, did I say it right? Savvy? Savvy, that we were spending $500,000 on. I just wanna know what we did to follow the procurement policy. And did we send out RFPs? How did we get this company? Did they solicit us or did we solicit them?
I'm gonna be perfectly honest, that, correct me if I'm wrong, is a Charlie and Dave initiative. I found out about it at one of our caucus meetings, like
I
2
thought it
months
was a
ago.
NACO initiative.
N-
that
NACO
they
for sure.
They met him at NACO.
Right. And I don't think that's unusual, Bob, where we glob onto a NACO initiative, but I was not involved, so.
He was a vendor.
No, I understand that and thank you, but I mean, we're spending $500,000 of somebody's money and I'm sure maybe, of course, I was opposed to it anyway, but also from the standpoint that how do we know we're getting our money's worth? Is this the only company that does that? Because whoever solicits us and we're become friends, we give them a $500,000 contract? I just think it needs to be vetted better than that. It needs to go through a process, not just, hey, I met this guy at NACO or this company and we're gonna spend $500,000.
I don't think it went like that,
Then
Bob.
tell me
I
how
think
it
you're
went.
I
Tell me
can't,
how it
because I
went.
wasn't involved, but I think you're simplifying it, and I think when you do that, it's a little insulting on the people that did a lot of due diligence. I know that Woodward and Charlie have met with this guy, he's been here. We've interviewed him on a couple of times.
During your caucus, you did.
Wasn't in committee, he
No.
was not on any committee.
He
was in-
did come
Oh,
to
he-
our committee virtually,
did.
but he
You're right.
was here at our committee.
Yeah, I mean, there's been opportunity to really look into it from our point, so this is coming last minute, and I get it, I'm not criticizing you for it, I think they're legitimate questions, but I don't think it's fair to impugn the process, because we've done this process before, and he's been here several times.
I wanna know if there's other companies that do the same thing. And Chairman Woodward said at the meeting that we followed the procurement policy. I wanna know what we did to follow the procurement policy. He said that right at the meeting.
Well, why don't you call procurement?
Okay, I just thought somebody in the caucus might know since, okay.
I mean,
I can do
Charlie
it.
and Dave might, but
Pardon?
Charlie and Dave might know, but.
Okay, thank you.
Cool. Have a great day, everyone. I'm going to adjourn at 9:38 in the morning.
Well, you don't have to go up to Lansing.